Alright, hey YouTube. Taxation is theft. We all know that. I mean, I've been preaching on this channel for quite some time. And I'm wondering, how do you get the government to stop taxing you? To just stop. No more sales tax, no more income tax, no more property tax, no more NFA tax, no more tariffs, just no more taxes, period. I mean, there's tax evasion, though that's always risky. That'd be a form of civil disobedience, and it'd be a pretty risky one, because the IRS is pretty aggro about this stuff. So I'm trying to think, how does a state of society get out of being robbed by the government which would allow it to become a stateless society? Go from status to a stateless society. Basically go from government to anarcho-capitalism. I'm wondering, how would a society do that? And if you Ancaps have any idea who are watching this channel, something like that. Because I think it'd be pretty important for people to eventually get to that point where we don't have to pay the government anymore. We don't. We just don't, okay? We get to keep our earnings, and we have a lot more money for what we need and a lot more money for what we want. So what is there to do? I mean, there's using alternate currencies like Bitcoin and sorry, I was rubbing everyone. Bitcoin, Monero, Dogecoin, currencies that aren't exactly taxable, or at least aren't super. Okay, technically, Bitcoin is Bitcoin, for example, is taxable, but it's not as straight up taxable as the government's own fiat. So how would people use cryptocurrency to evade taxation? Would they just use it so much that the government just can't tax it in every single way every time? Okay, maybe you can tax Bitcoin like this, but you can't tax it like this, and you can't tax it like this. And by the time you do get around to taxing it like this, it ends up changing, so you can't tax it like that anymore. I don't know, stuff like that. I'm just trying to think how it'd be done, how to do it, or whatever. Because, I mean, we shouldn't have this robbery anymore. People have been robbed long enough from the state, and they don't really have a whole lot of ideas flowing for how tax evasion would work. I mean, does everyone just not file their taxes to make it work? If enough people just don't give a shit about putting in their damn tax forms for around April, does the taxation just start locking up and then ceasing to exist? I mean, people use the alternate currencies, which are harder to tax, and then enough people just don't file their taxes, and then, I don't know, maybe some employers could even not take the taxes out of their employees' paychecks, maybe? How would that work? To just get the government, the IRS, whatever, off your back. What do you have to do for taxation to no longer work? Because ultimately, it seems like it boils down to making it so the system no longer works. It no longer gets its money, it no longer enforces will to get its money, nothing about it works. So how do you get to that point? I mean, I'm just wondering how to do it. I mean, it's... Yeah, the phone's ringing.
Call from 15128811272.
Okay. Well, I guess one thing you could do is make it so there's less stuff to even tax. Less stuff for taxes to even pay for to begin with. Meaning less government. And no, I'm not suggesting just go out and vote Libertarian and try and reduce the government that way. That doesn't work. But what might work is to just not vote, period. Not vote for any of these policies for like how to spend the taxes, whether it be on more public infrastructure or new public transportation or whatnot. Just don't vote on that shit. And the government may not be able to fund it as well if people don't even show support for it. I guess another thing people could do is to, I don't know, spread the word about how taxation's theft. I guess just whenever a person can bring it up, of course during the appropriate time, just bring up, hey, taxation's theft, we shouldn't have to pay for any of this. I'm trying to think if anyone could come up with a game plan based on that. Letting people know, hey, taxation's theft, this money doesn't really work, this doesn't really pay out that much for the people so much as it pays for the elite. There are better ways to pay for stuff for the people. Maybe the word just needs to be spread. I mean, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I'm just trying to wonder. I'm just trying to get some ideas, and I hope this video isn't against the terms and services of YouTube, suggesting you, well, I mean, at least bring up the idea of taxation. Which is why I'm kind of mincing my words. But anyways, I'm trying to think how to really go about it. I mean, when you have billions and trillions of dollars being spent on war, like, Iraq, Afghanistan, invasion of Grenada, Vietnam War, World War II, World War I, that kind of thing, you kind of have to come to the realization that if you're being forced to pay for that stuff, you have to find a way out to stop having to pay for that stuff. I guess basically getting closer and closer, not having to pay taxes, kind of boils down to, even before you get into civil disobedience, is government abstinence, which is where you don't take part in government. I kind of already mentioned this. You don't vote, you don't work for the polling stations for people to vote, you don't go to political rallies, you don't buy political merchandise, you don't fight in campaigns, you just don't get involved. I know people like to say get involved, all the PSAs like to say get involved with your state and vote. Yeah, that's bullshit. They should really be advocating the opposite. Don't get involved. Don't vote. Don't pay for the state. I mean, don't work for the state. That kind of thing. That's pretty much the start, I have to say, to get into not having to pay taxes. And first, we're just not going to support the government that makes us payment. We're not going to vote. Do the rest. No. So, I guess that's it. That's all I have to say for now. This video was meant to go so much smoother, but I don't know. I didn't think I'd stammer so much or stutter or have so much problems. But anyways, if you have any ideas how to evade them taxes, feel free to say in the comments. Anyways, bye.